folks, welcome back to Jerome Bee Farm and Homestead. It is February 27th. It's about 55 degrees out, maybe a little less, and there's virtually no wind. It's a beautiful day here in central Oklahoma. So this is the second day we've been above freezing in like over a week. Yesterday it just got up to about around 40, but then it was cloudy, so we didn't get a lot of melting. We had us a big winter storm come through here, and it snowed a little bit, but mostly what we got was sleet, and it sleeted hard, and it was thundering. It was like a thunder sleet storm, which I've seen that before, but not very often. It's pretty neat when you hear that. But we had probably 3 inches of sleet on the ground, so that's really dense, a lot denser than snow. So we got us some good moisture out of that, which is good. So it's all soaking in today. Seeing a little bit running off up by the barn up there, but man, yeah, this is some moisture we really needed. It got down to, well, single digits for like 3 days in the nighttime, so it got pretty cold there. So today we're down here. I'm gonna put those sugar cakes on the bees that you saw me do a couple videos back. Man, I wish I'd have got them on before that big cold snap, because they may have really needed it. I hope we didn't lose any hives, but I was busy working on my irrigation, my drip system for all my trees I'm trying to get in here, because man, it gets really dry here in the summer. So we got 5 hives that I'm going to follow up on. That 2 of them we already fed 2 or 3 videos back that were really super light. I could pick them up with just 2 fingers on the back and lift them. That's how light they were. And that's let's see, that was 27 and 14 looks like. And besides that, we've got 3 others that I lifted that were lightweight, but I didn't feed them at that time, so they probably need some now. And I got 4 or 5 that were medium to light, so we're going to check those. So I got my sugar all out and ready. So these are the sugar cakes that I did from a video before. Go back and like 2 or 3 videos back, and you'll see it says "Feed Your Bees," I think is what the title was. But this is what we've got, these nice sugar cakes, and they got some Pro Health in them, so they smell like lemongrass. And you can see there's some bees are already on it. They like the smell of that. But this is what we're going to get on our hives, and we're going to be using shims. So I'm primarily going to be using this blank shim that there's nothing in it, and if I run out of these, I'll go to this one that's got the wire mesh, and I'll put the wire to the top. I'll set the cake on the frames and put this on top of it with the wire up above it. But these are for just filling up with sugar and packing it all in there with. You want to get a whole bunch of sugar on a hive, which I don't do that very often anymore. Okay, if anyone's wondering why feed bees, don't you leave them enough honey? Intentionally, yes, I do. Some hives going into winter, they don't have a whole lot of stores, and those are the hives that will work their way through it, and they will run out of food, and that hive will die out. So rather than let them die out, I supplement them with a little bit of this granulated sugar this way, and that gets them to the nectar flow so they can survive on their own. So you know, you'll always have a split that didn't do very well, a queen that's not on top of her game. Maybe you might get a late season swarm that you're trying to nurse through, you know, because beekeepers, we don't like to let the bees die. We try, it's like, come on, you can make it. So I'm that way. I can't let a swarm just die out if it's a late swarm. I put it in a nuke and build it up, and I try and get it going. And I believe that's in hive number 1, we've got that on the bottom, and there's a hive right on top of it with a double screen between it, and that was another struggling hive that just couldn't get going pretty much all year. In fact, I think the one on top has been combined once with another hive, so it's really 3 in 1, but there's 2 queens there. So we'll check on that one. So, okay, I'll quit talking, and let's get in here and see what they look like. Okay, I walked through here, and I went by every hive and lifted it on the back side and checked them all out. And I've pre-staged here where the hives that I'm going to put some sugar on. I put the spacer out there, so you can see where I'm going to be headed. And there's a couple down there on the north end. I stuck bricks up there, so we need to get our shims down there. And we'll get started. Okay, this is hive 10, and on January 30th it came in at medium light, and I checked it today and it's pretty light, so we're going to go ahead and put some sugar on them. Man, I am totally miscombobulated. Nothing is where it needs to be. Hive tools, smokers, lighters. It's like finding everything all over again. So we're going to use some smoke. And it is pretty chilly out, so we're not going to do any inspecting or anything like that. This is just to get our sugar in here. Look down on the bees from the top and get out. Looks like most of our bees are like right in here, so that's where we're going to put our sugar. We'll put it on there just like that. Get our shim on here. And that's it. I'm going to put a rock on here. Okay, this is hive 12, and this is a little different. This is like a, I don't know the technical term for it, but it's just a inner cover that's thicker, and you can feed from it. You can put a jar in here if you want, put a hive body on top of this, put your jar in here, and put the lid on so you can liquid feed internally. So it's tall, so you can flip it over, and you can use it as a shim like this to put some solid feed in there. So that's what we're going to do with it. And it has a little hole right there. And it came with the plug. Oh yeah, it's in there. A little plug to close that off. And it has a notch right here. One thing that did happen when that storm came through, we had those high winds. Wildflower Meadows hive on the far north side, so that wind was out of the north. It was strong enough that it had that insulated spacer I got from Dave Rowden in there, and so they didn't have time to propolize that good in the fall because I put it on there early winter. That high north wind blew that thing, and it was pushed over, and there was about a 1-inch gap on the side of the hive, just letting cold air go down in there. But I think I caught it in time, and they looked okay. I got it all straightened back up and got a big rock on there. So our bees look like they're okay right there. Give them a little smoke. Man, I think I'm giving me more smoke than the bees. So this inner cover will come off while that one is on. You don't need two. I don't see much going on here. See a few bees up here. This hive may be in trouble. It's not super light, so they're not starving out. We may have a queen not doing well in here. There's no telling. I don't think they're starving to death. Bees, though, however, can do what's called a cold starvation, where they can't move because it's cold and they can't get to more honey. So that is a possibility, but I don't think it gets near that cold here in Oklahoma for that to happen, because it'll warm up in a week. Okay, this should be interesting. This is hive 14, and this is the one we did the emergency feeding on January 30th because it was so light I could pick it up with 2 fingers. And it's probably still that way. Yeah. Because they didn't bring any nectar in. So let's see how they did on this sugar up here. Well, they didn't eat near as much of it as I thought. Looks like the bees are more on this side. Yeah, you can see them there. So I would have expected to see a lot of this devoured, but they haven't. I'm going to move some of that sugar that's back on that far side over here closer to where they're at. So what that tells me that they haven't consumed a lot of this is that even though this hive was very, very light, they had enough honey in there that they didn't have to consume a lot of this to stay warm. This sugar's from last year that I used. I just had these cakes here handy. I don't think that had anything to do with them being able to consume it. It's not like it's extra hard or something like that. But I don't know. Just throwing that out there in case anybody's ever experienced anything like that. Okay, they're good. They may just not have a real hefty population either to come up and consume very much. So these are 17, 18, and they were medium light. 17 was light, 18 was medium light last time. I was just thinking, I don't think I've ever shot a video before where I was working in the beehives with snow on the ground. I shot lots of videos of bees flying with snow, but I've never busted open a hive. It's just that nice out today. Elusive hive tool. I think all my hive tools are over on the north end down there, because that's where I ended up last time I was working on the hives, if I remember right. Let's give them a little smoke. They're awful gathered up here. Just chill them out a little bit. I've seen people in, there's one guy I watch in Massachusetts. What's his name? He's done this when it's like really cold out. So there's a heavy population in here. So that many bees and it being lightweight, that's a bad combination. So when I opened that up, it was completely covered with bees. And there's a lot still on this inner cover. Yeah, this don't weigh much at all. So we need to get a lot on here. Get this big sucker. There we go. So I'm fairly concerned about this hive. In fact, we might scoot that over. Give them a little bit more. Lots of bees in there to feed. So this will be number 18. It looks like it's got quite a few in there too. Yeah, same deal. Lots of bees, not much weight. So remember, in the springtime, if you've got your shims on like this and the flow comes in here in central Oklahoma, it's first part of April when the redbuds bloom. You need to get these off of here, because the bees will start putting comb up in here and putting honey up in here. That time of year, things happen fast and furious, so I have been caught with my shims on in the springtime, and that happened to me. That was the year the flow was just really good, 2 years ago, and I had 730 pounds or so of honey. All right, I'm gonna move this rock over here, because remember that there's no proplets on those. They're not stuck down, and a high wind will move them things. Okay, hive 20 was light last time, and it's still light. So we're gonna give them a chunk. Woo, look at them. They're boiling out of there. They're a little grumpy. Let's send them back. I hope this isn't gonna be a hot hive like, man, last year I had one down that way. Boy, look at them. They're gripey. So we had a liquid feeder on here. So this was a hive that didn't do well last year. We're trying to get it built up. Look at all them bees. Bunches of them. So these bees are grumpy, probably because they don't have a lot to eat in there. Yeah, this is one I would consider super light right now, and it needs emergency fed, which is a good thing. We're here with sugar. That's why they're grumpy. We're going to give them some help. Now this time of year, you don't want to put liquid feed in there, because when the bees get in that cold liquid, they just immediately go hypothermic and they can't get out and they die. Even if you have straw or something in there, you will still lose a lot of bees. And that's one thing I did last year and learned my lesson on. I don't think the problem was I didn't have ladders or straw in there for them to climb on. It's just that liquid was so cold and they got in there, couldn't get out. And I had a liquid feeder that was probably a third full of bees in the bottom. That's a lot of bees. So when we start doing inspections, we'll probably get that taken out of there. We'll probably wind up rotating these two boxes and take care of that. Okay, number 21 here. I don't have a whole lot of sugar left. I did 25 pounds of cakes. Plus I had a few extras from last year left over. So I went pretty heavy on those hives that had that high population. So I don't see a concentration of bees up here in the top. It's a little bit odd. I'm just going to go with that for now. Save those others for down here. So again, this one has the hardware cloth in there, but that's okay. We'll just put it on there upside down. This one seems a little more on the friendlier side. Again, we've got our liquid feeder here, internal frame feeder. So see how we can see the bees up here? That hive right next to it that we just did, I didn't see bees bunched up here. So they may be in the bottom box more than the top. I'll put 3 on here because we've got that next hive that had some already. That'll leave me 2. And again, we're down to our using the wire ones. This inner cover don't have a notch. I like to run notched inner covers to get that little bit of ventilation through the top. But that feeder has a hole in it. Okay, there's my hive tools and a machete. So this one we emergency fed a month ago. I still see some sugar in there. Well, they don't appear to need any. I'm going to go ahead and give them some of that fresh sugar that's got the Pro Health in it. It's still a little soft too. It's not quite as dry as this is. See how they're eating that from the bottom. There we go. Yeah, so again, just like hive 14 over there that was fed a month ago, they didn't take a whole lot of that sugar. So that tells me they still had some in here, or they didn't like that sugar there for some reason. But they're alive, they're doing good, so that's a good thing. So that's how we do it. Late winter feeding here in the apiary. Keep your bees alive going into spring when there's a few things blooming but not enough nectar coming in to sustain your bees, and your brood starts coming in, you got more bees coming on and they start consuming their food exponentially faster, and there's still nothing out there. So, you know, you've seen me, I've got some pollen feeders out that's stimulating the queens to lay. So 21 days we'll have more bees. So when the nectar flow gets here, we'll have more of a force to go out and collect nectar, bring in more honey. So that's the thought behind that. So that's it. Give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe on your way out. We're thinking we might hit 10,000 this year. So we'll catch you on the next beekeeping video. Y'all take care.
Voy a cantar esta canción con mucho cariño de mi corazón a la República Dominicana, la casa del merengue y la casa de la bachata. Voy a cantar esta canción con mucho cariño de mi corazón a la República Dominicana, la casa del merengue y la casa de la bachata. La, 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 la casa del merengue. La, 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 y la casa de la bachata.